So I wanted to probe it on that because our community is like, Jake's saying it's going to be in December, $100. My question is, hearing what I just heard you say, is your premise that, one, the stock market obviously adopts XRP as its back end, and B, you said something important. It happens before the Clarity Act. So is that one of the key things that needs to happen? Is because that's a good clarity. So in other words, if we get the Clarity Act and this doesn't happen, let's say XRP doesn't get adopted, then your idea of this thing going to 100, does that kind of go away? Or help us understand what you think.
It would be difficult to get to those levels if this is a perfect storm scenario that I'm discussing, right? And I think people have a hard time with that. I'm extremely confident that it plays out. I see all the writing on the wall. And it's interesting to me that we had a government shutdown that delayed the Clarity Act being put through. And now they're discussing maybe it's going to end up being Q1 before we get the Clarity Act. And then we've got, Brian Armstrong saying that it's going to come out within the next month, maybe even by Thanksgiving. So you've got a lot of things that are up in the air here. But to your point, for this situation to transpire, it would have the caveat that the Clarity Act had not been passed yet.
So if the Clarity Act does pass, what's your thoughts then? Does the whole thing in your mind kind of like go away, or do you think like what? Because now they can go with any coin they want, right? And now XRP.
Well,
what's your thoughts there? I'm just curious.
I don't think that's going to happen, but there's some other viable options out there, right? You also have some other interesting aspects that are specific to the XRPL and Corda for that application and the use of that token versus other ones. You've also got, you've got digital identity on the XRPL. You have credentials on the XRPL. You have AMMs on the XRPL. These things aren't built into the mainnet on Solana. Now, you can add additional components inside smart contracts and build that out, but it's not inherent to the network. So, that would be one thing. I mean, XDC is another token that could be used by R3, right? They've advocated for that. I'll say this. So we had a project that we did with R3 years ago. Still talk to them infrequently. I bring my mug on my show every once in a while. And in that conversation, I asked them, what we should use for the settlement mechanism between counterparties for what we were working on. And I have NDAs about what we worked on, but I can talk about, the other pieces of the conversation we had. And they said that, whatever they used would have to have clarity and there would have to be enough liquidity in it. And at the time, the only thing that had clarity was XRP, and it was kind of a wink and nod.